to Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it, makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Red hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Deep to right field. Way and second
Well, you said on the last episode that it was the most positive I ever sounded. Well, you jinxed that pretty good. So when we last spoke, the Phillies were 7-2. They're now 11-8. So if you need your third baseman to get hot, play the Phillies because Austin Riley, Nolan Arenado, and Matt Chapman, they're all set now for the season after facing the Phillies. Let's see. If you're a center fielder and you need a job, come to Philadelphia. They got many openings here for you. If you throw over 90 miles an hour and you could in the bullpen, we also have jobs for you here. So, yeah, a lot going on. That's not good. Nick Castellanos now, I don't know what that is with the hip issue. So now we have that because he was pretty much the only guy hitting consistently this season outside of Schwarber mashing a bunch of home runs. Look, 11-8. Still a good overall record, but the last, 10 games, I hated the majority of what I saw. Nola was bad. Wheeler wasn't even that strong. I know the one start was Rojas literally just not catching a ball, which cost him, but a lot going on that is not pretty. And the most annoying thing is there's about like 8 instances in the last week where if they just made contact and hit a sac fly, the outcome of about 3 of those games might have been different.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is the bullpen being, very, very bad. Going into today, they were 25th in baseball in hitting runners in scoring position. I think I saw a tweet they were leaving 7.5 guys on base a game.
They're getting on like the swing, the whiff thing, like they're not chasing as much. They're walking and getting on. They're just not getting anyone in.
Yeah. And the bullpen, they were 26th in baseball in bullpen ERA. Like outside of like Kirkring, Alvarado, and Strom, and even Alvarado's, shaky.
Yeah.
Like today, you got hit pretty hard. The line out to start the ninth was hard, and the home run was obviously very loud. So, like, the bullpen is a major, major, major question mark. Noah has been a problem. I think I was talking to you in the group chat the other day during his start, and you're kind of handcuffed with him because it's not like his stuff can play in the bullpen. Like it's right. Yesterday he was 89. He can get it up to 93, but like everyone on social media is like, oh well, when the weather gets hot, he's gonna get going again. And like, yeah, probably because he does this every year. But at the same time, it's not warm in October where you hope to be playing, and you're paying him north of $30 million a year for the next 6 years. So like, if we're doing that for 4 months of service out of this guy from the end of May to the end of August, like something's gotta change in that regard. So like I don't think I'm like panic button on Nola yet. I'm pretty close to panic button on the bullpen, and the hitting runners in scoring positions a major problem. But I'd like to think that that's going to work itself out. But center field, like you said, if you want to play center field, they're probably going to start hosting random dudes from Delco for tryouts soon. And everyone's saying, call up Crawford. Crawford's the answer. Crawford's hitting 250 with a 630 OPS in AAA. Like I think Crawford.
Yeah, he got benched for a couple of days down there actually.
I think he's going to be good, but like he is 21 years old. There's no, we've kind of seen that our prospect development hasn't been like the best lately. We see Bohm regressing. Stott's playing good this year, but last year was obviously a step back and not a step forward. So like, I don't really see the need to rush Crawford up here when he's kind of struggling a little bit at AAA.
Yeah.
Like I don't think his style of play is what comes in and fixes this team. Like it's not like he's a big masher. I'd sooner call up Rincones if you want outfield help, and then let somebody figure it the hell out in center field. Whether it's Sosa or like Kepler's a good fielder. He's obviously not like the fastest guy in the world, so I don't know how it would work in center. But Crawford's you don't have an answer, and you said this the other day. There's like 5 good center fielders in baseball, and they're all on good teams. So like,
Yeah,
it's
not getting one of them.
It's not just a Phillies problem, but like it is a major problem for the way that this team's constructed.
Yeah. You kind of brought this up with Rincon Ace. I always get there's a Rincon and a Rincon, so I always get that so mixed up. I said before the season started when we were doing the season preview how I was going to be so freaking mad if a platoon of Rincones and Weston Wilson was going to give you better production than Kepler, because if you combine the money that Joe Ross and Max Kepler got, it's the same amount that Hoffman's getting a year. So if I could have just went cheap with Rincones and Wilson in left, and I had Hoffman also in the bullpen, I think I'd feel a lot better about how things are right now. So a little irritated about that. The funny thing about Kepler is he's kind of like Russell Westbrook. He's just padding these stats when it doesn't matter. Like the amount of, and part of the problem is that the center fielder has not gotten him in. What the other night he was on third base twice with no outs and didn't get in. So, I mean, it's not totally his fault, but he's not really driving in runs. It's just like he's lining some stuff down the right field line. It's either a single or a double. He's ending up on third with like 1 out and not get scoring. I swear the same thing's happened about 10 times this year. So maybe it's just that's driving me more crazy than actually him. But I just think for what you're paying him, the production, that $8 million, since we're so cheap all of a sudden, I think I'd rather have it in a 7th inning or a closer reliever right now.
Yeah, agreed. They're 20 games in, and it's crazy that we're doing this already. But like, I'm really looking back at it, I genuinely don't know what the off-season plan was.
Romano has actually not been an issue since the last time we spoke.
No, and his velocity's back up a bit. I'm interested to see how they kind of handle him, because right now it's been like leverage situations, but not like the 8th and the 9th where we started him. The first week it's kind of been 6th and 7th, which I'm fine with. Like Kirkring's definitely better than Romano as a righty, so like I'm fine with giving Kirk those back end innings as the primary righty. But like Joe Ross has not been good. Jose Ruiz is like a 6th inning guy, is ridiculous to begin with, and obviously
the situation the other night was insane.
Yeah, we're putting Tanner Banks out there in like 1-run games against the Braves in the 8th inning, which is like crazy to even think about. That's something that happens when your first 2 lefties get injured and your 3rd and 4th lefties pitch the night before. It's like the first game of the series in Atlanta. Like that's crazy. But I don't know. I sent it last night. I don't know how true it is, but it was in an article in the offseason that John Middleton's wife wouldn't let him spend any more money on the Phillies because they lost money during the pandemic when everyone lost money on sports teams they owned. So that's bullshit, and he needs to grow up and get off the leash if he actually wants his effing trophy back like he says he does.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like the Luzardo deal looks beautiful.
He's great.
Yeah, like awesome. And it's like all the little moves they've made have been great over the years. Not like the trades. So like, but they didn't really. This regime didn't have a lot to do with the Sanchez and Alvarado trades, right?
That
No.
the Sanchez trade was Clontac, and the Alvarado trade was Dombrowski's first move.
Okay. So the Alvarado one. It's like they've made some like smart things there. Like I think drafting Kirk after he was like his numbers were horrible when he was in college. Like good move, worked, but the marginal moves have been absolutely awful.
Disaster.
Like I just can't believe we're on. And as a Penn State fan, like we're having this problem with wide receivers, but we're on like year 13 of not having a center fielder since Victorino left. Now Herrera was like whatever, but we were saying this the other night, like I would kill for a double Herrera's production right now. 280, 15 home runs, like 30 doubles. Like if you got that out of center field on this team, what, they're 11-8 right now? If you got that production, they might be 15-4 right now. Just because it's literally a zero. Like they haven't had a hit in April out of center field.
And the crazy thing too is like they haven't had a hit. Marsh literally doesn't have a hit in April, and then he tripped and hurt his knee on a ground ball coming at him.
God.
And then Rojas, who's known for his defense, quote last year, if it's hit to me, I catch it or whatever, lets the ball drop in Atlanta. As it wasn't even like at Sosa. It almost hit him in the head. Like the kid from the Sandlot could have closed his eyes and stuck his glove out and caught it. And then last night he fields the ball. The runner's like a quarter up the third baseline, and Rojas throws it into the 400 level. Like he's known for his defense, and then he's doing shit like that in like the span of a week, not even a week, like 6 days. It's like ridiculous that like they're still running this like platoon out without doing really anything to address it. And they're trying to like convince the fans like, hey, Johan Rojas, he hit 300 in Dominican Winter League. This is the year.
He can't make contact. He has no plan at the plate.
The
frustrating thing is Marsh, I feel like, has a plan, but I just don't know if the talent's there at this point. He strikes out a ton. It's like 34% at this point this year, I think. But most of the time he's swinging at strikes. He's not connecting with anything. Like his eye's not that bad. He has decent power when he does make contact. The guy just can't make contact.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if, this gets back to the hitting coach at this point. Now Stott, I think, has looked a lot better, and I do like him in the leadoff spot because I think it gives you your best overall lineup with the speed of him and Turner at the top, Harper protected by Schwarber, and Casty when he's hot, getting some guys on the 5 spot. I really like that right now. But like Bohm, we know it's bad right now. The center fielders don't have a hit. The center fielders are young guys. Bohm, a younger guy, someone that kind of came up in the Kevin Long system more or less. Like I don't know what you do. Like I feel like if there's a move to be made, I kind of tweeted this the other day, like the progression of moves I would make. One would be one of Rojas and Marsh gets sent down to AAA. Then if you still have issues, 2 would be to fire Long. 3 would be Thompson because he's confusing me with some of the things he's doing this year. And then 4 would be you actually trade one of those guys to send a message, Bohm, Marsh, Rojas, whatever. And then 5, hopefully we don't get to this point, but it's like a total sell at the deadline where Suarez, Real Muto, maybe Schwarber, because apparently shot down that contract extension talk earlier this offseason. You think about trading them. And I hope it really doesn't get to that point. But if they don't start hitting and they don't tighten up the bullpen, I don't know. And now Nola's scaring the hell out of me. Wheeler hasn't been dominant. We'll see how he does tomorrow night against the Marlins, but I don't know. I have more concerns than things that make me happy. And like Trey Turner still isn't back, and Real Muto's just completely shot and they've been batting 6 or 7 when in reality, he still gives you enough defensively where you could play him, but he has to be the 9th best bat in the lineup. And right now he's probably the 5th, which is just absolutely screwed. So like they got some time, but holy shit, some of these things are like look bad.
Yeah, I think I have a lot to say about the manager, but I won't dive into that. The strike call on JT the other night, and they flipped to his face just sitting there in the dugout with no movement. I thought my TV froze. Like I don't have cable, so I stream games on NBC Sports. I legitimately checked my Wi-Fi to see if like it was frozen or buffering or something. That was crazy. And then
Oh,
they
I
come
know.
back and he was complaining about the lights. But like aside from that, as far as like actual like managing stuff, and they said it at the start of the year that they were, when lefties were pitching, Turner was going to lead off, and the lineup was going to look different. And
Mhm.
when righties are pitching, Schwarber was going to hit lead off, and the lineup was going to look different. And I think like that was cute for like the first week, and obviously the 4 spot was a problem trying to find someone to protect Bryce, and then you finally got Schwarber back there, and it seemed like, while Harp wasn't necessarily getting more pitches to hit, you were ending up with 2 guys on base a lot because Harper and Schwarber were kind of walking back to back, and
Yep.
like you said, Castellanos was having a good start to the year as far as hitting the ball. The runners and scoring position numbers aren't there, but they were setting themselves up or putting themselves in position, to score runs. Guys on getting on base, walking, and then you get Stott at the top of that lineup, and it's looked pretty good. And I think with how much you've been struggling with runners in scoring position, and like it's kind of seemed like the offense has struggled in general. I think you have to, forget matchups and just say, hey, this top, we'll leave it at top 5 because, like we've kind of talked about for the last 15 minutes,
Mhm.
6 through 9 has been an adventure to say the least. Um, but like the top 5 has been really damn good in the sense of at least working counts. It seems so. Like whether it's a lefty or a righty, I think you just have to go Stott, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, and
Yeah.
let 6 through 9 work itself out in one way or another. And
Mhm.
like talking about that top 5, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos are we know what they are at this point. They're veterans. They're bona fide all stars. Turner and Harper have gotten Harper's 2 MVPs. Turner's gotten MVP votes. Like we know what they are. There's no reason to coddle them, whether it's a lefty or a righty on the mound. And you
Yeah.
drafted Stott in the first round in the top 15 picks. It's year 3. There's no reason to treat him like a prospect that's trying to find his way in the league. If he
Mhm.
cannot hit lefties, then it's, we want to know that before we start offering him stupid contract extensions for a platoon player. Like, let's
Right.
stop, hit leadoff. I was listening to the game on the radio today on the way home from work, and after his leadoff, I think it was after his leadoff single today, he's 7 for 22 in the leadoff spot. Like he's just hitting over 300 in the leadoff spot.
And
Like
the majority of that, I would say, has been in the first inning, and a lot of the time he has scored.
yeah,
And
like
he would have scored again the other night when he got on to start the game. Um, Turner hit a ball that would have been 15 rows deep, but it was like the
yep,
20 seconds when that tornado was happening and the
yeah,
ball came back in. Otherwise, it would have been another run scored. But like the majority of that has been runs scored in the first inning.
yeah. So like that top, like you have to stop treating, the 26. Like they said, they're done being the daycare. Like that
Yeah,
should go beyond
right.
post game interviews and stuff. Like they're
Hmm.
26. Let him hit off of a lefty and see what happens. If you're saying in the offseason that Brandon Marsh could be an everyday player, then why are we still trying to coddle Bryson Stott, who's 10 times the player that Marsh is?
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. And part of the reason is And now they started playing him in left. They wanted to get Sosa in the lineup, and I think it kind of sucks for Stott, where because he's the lefty of the middle infield, it looks more like a platoon with Sosa than maybe it should be. But now that Sosa's starting to play some outfield, that could change.
And even I think the frustrating thing with that too is like, yes, he has a 4-game hit streak now after the triple today, but like
Mhm.
Bohm was lost at the plate, and you're taking Stott out of the lineup instead of Bohm for Sosa, who was
Mhm.
an above average defender at third base. Like if you're really trying to work Sosa into the lineup, Stott was like leading the team in OPS going into that Brave series, I think, or besides Schwarber, like the average and everything was there for Stott, and it's like, oh, we're gonna let Bohm, hit his weight, but we're gonna pull Stott, who's hitting above 250. It just the decisions to this point through 20 games, I haven't necessarily agreed with, but it seems like they might be starting to work themselves out. Believe it or not, I think the offense had like a pretty good series against San Francisco,
So
relatively speaking, after the mess in St. Louis.
here's my issue with that. They were phenomenal in the first inning of this series.
Yeah.
And then they just gave up the rest of these games. I mean,
Yeah.
I was losing my mind. How does a guy who threw almost 30 pitches, I think, and gave up 5 runs in the first inning make it through 7 innings?
Mm-hmm.
How the hell is that even possible? Like,
Yeah,
that is so bad. That is horrible. And part of the thing is they're hitting so many freaking ground balls. They had like 4 straight inning-ending double plays in this game. But like that just can't happen. Like my issue with them is they put up a big spot so early in the season they were putting up the big spot late. They weren't doing anything early. Then they put up the big spot in the bullpen and win the game. Now they're putting up the big spot early and then hanging on for dear life for the rest of the game. It can't be that way. You need to keep the momentum going in your direction and add a couple runs here or there. And it just kind of feels like once they get these leads, they're like, let's try to hit home runs and put on the highlight show. And they're not working to get runners in. And they got lucky today that Eric Miller couldn't throw a freaking strike, and pretty much gifted them a run, because the way Alvarado was, that could have went a little differently if that was a 2-run game instead of 3. So
yeah, Phillies legend Eric Miller.
it's another one. We'll pick a time to get into all the guys they traded for rentals and crap like that. It's not enough time today. But okay, so series at home with the Marlins this weekend. Got to win at least 2. And then tricky freaking road trip at the Mets, at the Cubs. I don't love that.
No.
That's going to suck. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
No, the Mets haven't hit too well at home yet. So hold out some hope. But
Dude, Soto's been bad, and that series is the series it closes.
Oh, it's a series he gets going because, like I meant, we did it. Riley was in a crazy slump, got him out of it.
Well,
Matt Chapman,
you're talking
streak of his career.
You're talking about third baseman. Mark Vientos was like Chipper Jones against us in the NLDS, and now he's
back.
Yeah. He's like top or bottom 10 in the National League, he's bottom 10 in Major League Baseball in WAR. He's got like
negative that won't last. Trust me. Yeah.
0.6, and
they're licking their chops.
He'll turn into to Chipper Jones again in that series.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, we'll be back at some point. Hopefully they find a way to start winning some games. Might need a lot of new players for that, but well, we'll see.